Well, federal immigration officers shot and killed a man on Saturday in Minneapolis, drawing hundreds of protesters in a city already shaken by another fatal shooting weeks earlier. Well, Minneapolis police chief in fact said that a 37-year-old man was killed but declined to identify him. Now, he added that information about what led to the shooting was limited. Well, on the other hand, the Department of Homeland Security said in a statement that federal officers were conducting an operation as part of the US President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown and fired defensive shots after a man with a handgun approached them and violently resisted when officers tried to disarm them. Now, important to understand that the official also said that police believed that the man was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. Now, this is information coming in from the Minnesota police. Apart from this, the shooting happened amid widespread daily protests in the Twin Cities since January 7th. The January 7th shooting of 37-year-old Renee Good, who was also killed when an immigration and customs enforcement officer fired into her vehicle. Well, Saturday's shooting unfolded just over a mile away from where Renee Good was shot.
This federal occupation of Minnesota long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. It's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of our state. And today that campaign claimed another life. I've seen the videos from several angles, and it's sickening. But I have a strong statement here for our federal government. Minnesota's justice system will have the last word on this. It must have the last word. As I told the White House in no uncertain terms this morning, the federal government cannot be trusted to lead this investigation. The state will handle it, period. Donald Trump, I call on you once again. Remove this force from Minnesota. They are sowing chaos and violence. We've seen deadly violence from federal agents again and again and again.
Our message is really clear and straightforward. We need ICE out of Minnesota. They are not making us more safe. As the tragic killing this morning, as people saw it viscerally on that video, shows us, they are making us less safe.
During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but the subject was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 loaded magazines and no accessible ID. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
I reached out to his family, who I had been able to find through a public records database, and unfortunately they had not yet heard anything about the shooting and did not have any idea that their son might be involved. I gave them a little time to check the news, to turn on the television, and they saw the video of the shooting and recognized the man that was being shot was their son. We then spoke again, and they described him to me as someone who was extremely empathetic and disturbed by the immigration and crackdown going on in his city, someone who would have cared very much about people he perceived to be under threat by the powerful, by the government, and they weren't surprised at all that he was out there protesting. In fact, after the shooting of Renee Good earlier in the month, he talked to them about going out to protest, and they told him to be safe and to be smart, and he said he would. That was not the last conversation they had with him. They spoke with him about a couple days ago, and they talked about he was having a garage door repaired on the condo where he lived, and the worker who came was a Latino man. And they talked about what was going on in the city, and he ended up giving the man a $100 tip just because he felt so bad about what people of color are going through in Minneapolis. Also spoke with his ex-wife, who confirmed that they had protested during the George Floyd protest in 2020, that he was a Democratic voter. Family members also confirmed that he had a concealed carry permit to carry a handgun and that he owned a gun, though they said they had never known him to carry it with him. And certainly, according to family members, especially his ex-wife, he was someone who might shout and holler at a protest, might say some things to law enforcement officers, but not someone they would have ever thought would have been involved in a physical confrontation.
Well, right now I'm just going to take you through the devastating visuals which are said to be the last moment of 37-year-old Alex Petty. Remember that he was gunned down and killed. These are the last moments of him. Now Alex can be seen holding his phone up. It's an extremely important piece of information given the fact that, the officers claim, the Department of Homeland Security claims that Alex was killed as, the police was trying to, in fact, the Department of Homeland Security and the ICE agents were firing defense shots. But you can clearly see in the video that the video shows that, suddenly the shots are fired. And you can also see that Alex seems to be holding up his phone in this. There's obviously, of course, a lot of chaos that unfolds right when this entire incident is taking place. You can see the officials that have in fact backed off. So it's important to understand that after the shots were fired and the shooting took place, the officers actually went away from the site, backing off from the entire place. Remember that this comes amid the protests that were taking place in Minneapolis and Minnesota. This was with regards to immigration. This is a video which is said to be of the last moments of course, Alex Petty. Important to understand that this also depicts the fact that, he was holding up his phone and the officer was trying to shove Alex onto the chest. Now, this is important information as you can clearly see that there was Alex present in the video there when he was surrounded by officials. Now, there's some sort of distinction when it comes to whether he was allowed to hold a gun or not. Now, as per the Department of Homeland Security, Alex, or rather how they mentioned that a man who hasn't been identified was holding a gun and was approaching them, and they fired shots in defense, to which the Minnesota police has responded saying that the man was legally allowed to hold the gun. So there is a clear distinction when it comes to that. Now, the shots were fired suddenly, and apart from this, what's important to understand is that you can clearly see the visuals where, of course, the officers are pinning down the man. Those are the visuals present there, and these are, of course, the supporters, the protesters who were alongside Alex Petty, who were trying to, of course, protest against the United States, the US President Donald Trump's immigration policies. Remember that this was an operation which is said to have been with regards to, curbing down immigration in the United States.